Hi, I'm Kate from APC Physio. So today I'm going to be giving you a bit of a taster class just to show you what we'll be doing in some of the classes. When you come in, there'd be a bit more guidance, but this is a nice one just to give you an idea of what we do, as well as something you can do at home between classes. So the only thing you need for this Pilates class is a band. If you don't have a band, you could use a towel, a tea towel, and we'll just make sure there's a bit of resistance on it whenever you're holding it. So we'll just start with a bit of a warm up. We'll just stretch over to one side, over to the other, just get a bit warmed up before we start the class. Do a bit of rotations to the side, getting a bit of movement into our backs. We'll do a bit of a forward fold, so slowly down, touch your toes, and exhale on your way back up. Do another two. Exhale. Last one. Over to touch your toes. Back up. We'll just do a bit of hip rotations. A few circles. And we just circle back the opposite way. And last, for the warm-ups, we'll just do some regular squats, which will lead us into our first exercise, which is going to be a sumo squat. So first exercise, usually with a squat, you'd have your feet underneath your hips. We're just going to go a bit wider today into the sumo squat, and we'll just go down and back up. We'll go for another 6 of these. Nice and slowly through the movement. Make sure you're standing up tall and going down as far as comfortable when you're sitting into the squat. Perfect. Once we're done with that, we're going to add on a bit to it. So for the sumo squat, we're going to come down, our hands behind our heads, and do a side bend as far as you can, and back to center and up. Come down, side bend, back to center, and back up. We're working our abs here. You can exhale on the side bend, inhale to center, and back up, down, breathe out, breathe in, and come back up. We'll just do a few more here. Exhale, inhale, and back up, down, exhale, inhale, and back up. Go another 2 each side. Back up. Last one. Last one on this side. And back up. We'll just take a moment here. We're going to do a bit of an arm stretch. This side. Take it out. This side as well. You can do a bit of a quad stretch here as well. For a few seconds, just for your thighs can be a bit burning after that one. And switch to the other side. Perfect. We'll come back into our last round of the sumo squats. So for this one, we're doing same position again, your feet slightly farther than hip distance apart. Coming back down, hands behind the head again. We're bending to one side, back to center, but down to the other side for the last set, and back up. So down to one side, center, the other side, center, and back up. Down, exhale, inhale, you can exhale, inhale, and back up. You just do few of these. Other side, back up. Go for another 3. Back up. 2. And last one here. And back up. Now, so we get onto the balance part next. So this is when you need your towel or your band. We'll just see how we are with single leg balance. You can stay on one leg, test out your left or your right. See how you are just in static balance. Just test out how you are. Onto the opposite leg. See any difference between the two sides. See how you are there. Perfect. So for this first exercise, we're going to go on to whichever leg. We'll just start on our left leg. Raise your other leg up. Put a bit of resistance on your towel or your band. And you're just going to bring your arms overhead. And slowly back down. Always keeping a bit of resistance on the band. So this bit of movement might just challenge your balance a bit. Might find it a bit harder. And then you're also working your arms, your core. You're working a lot here. Just do another 2. Now we can swap on to the other side. Okay, swap on to the other side. Let's see, is there any difference here? Go for another 3. 2. And last one. And back down. So for the next part of this balance, we're just going to see if there's any difference between left and right. We're going to go back into our single leg stance. Bring your towel or your band in front of you. This time we're going to have a diagonal. We're going to pull the band apart. If you have a band, if you have a towel, just trying to pull a little bit on the sides. And then you can release, make it a bit slack. And then pull, make it taut and slack. But if you have a band, you might be able to get a bit more of a stretch there. We'll do this for another 2 and 1. And then we'll stay on that same leg, but we're just going to pull the opposite direction. There you go, another 2. Last one. You can swap onto your other leg. So we just come into the single leg stance again, arms out in front, and pull a diagonal. We go another 2 and 1. And then change onto the other side. Bring the opposite arm down. We're just turning the towel the opposite way around. Another 3, 2, and 1. And we're done with a bit of balance work. You can put your band or your towel away. You won't need it for the rest of the exercises. So for this next one, we'll just do a bit of a stretch before we start in our 4-point. We'll do a bit of cat-cow, just arching your back up, and then looking forward, arching your back, rounding your back up, exhaling, inhaling, looking forward. Another 2, here. So for this next one, we're going to stay in 4-point. We're going to do some fire hydrants. So it's bringing your leg out to the side like this. Might be able to see a bit better this way, bringing it out to the side. So we're staying with a nice neutral spine. You don't want it too arched or too rounded. Trying to find that nice in between. And we're keeping everything still. And we're just lifting your left leg out to the side. And this is a nice one for your glutes, but you're also using your core to keep yourself nice and still. You go another 3, 2, and last one here. And then we're going to kick the leg out straight behind you. Same again, keep everything nice and still. And we're just lifting only the leg. We're not arching the back. We're not using any other thing. We're not moving anything else. Only the leg out. And this is a nice one for the glutes as well as the core. Last 2. Last one. Bring it in. You can do a bit of a child's pose. Sit back on your heels and stretch out your arms. And just take a few breaths here. You can move your arms to one side, get a nice stretch. And move to the opposite side, a nice stretch on the opposite side. And we'll come and do the opposite leg. I'll just move around so you can see it a bit better. You were doing the left side, do the right side now. And we'll just start with the fire hydrant kind of movement again. Make sure your spine is nice and neutral. And we're just only lifting the leg out to the side. Nice and slow movements. You don't want to do this too fast, or you might start moving a lot more than just the leg. Last 2, 1, and we're on to the straight leg again. So stretch out your leg, same again, only your leg moving up and down. We'll do another 6 more here. 4, 3, 2, and last one. We can come back into that child's pose. Sit back on your heels. Stretch out your arms. Take a nice few breaths here. So for the next exercise, we're going to be face down on the mat. We're going to do, some people may know the T, Y, and I exercise whenever sometimes you're doing it with weights. But for this one, we're just going to be squeezing in our collarbones or our shoulder blades even, and doing this lying down. It's kind of like the Superman exercise. We're just doing a scapula squeeze. So you can start off lying down, and we're just going to have your face either down on the mat or looking forward at the top of the mat. You don't want it stretched up, just to mind your neck. You have your arms out in a T. I'm going to squeeze your shoulder blades together and lift up a little bit and come back down. Then we're going to do a Y. So out slightly in front of you, come up, squeeze them together and back down. And then we're going to do an I, kind of harder to squeeze your shoulder blades together here. Still looking at the top of your mat and lift up for a second and come back down. So we're going to do a few rounds of this. Go out to the side T, squeeze your shoulder blades together and back down. Y, squeeze them together and back down. And I, and back down. So this is a nice one for your shoulders, your kind of upper back. Whenever you're lifting up, it's also just good for your back in general. Back down, and I, and back down. We'll go for another 3 of each. T, Y, and I. T, Y, and I. The last one of each. T, squeeze your shoulder blades. Y, last one, I. Come up out of that. We're on to our last set, which would be our side lying. We're just going to do some planks here. Relax down onto your elbow. And you can either do this on your knees, and we'll come up for a few seconds here and hold, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and come back down. You're just lifting up your hips. They're nice and stacked straight over each other. You don't want it too forward or backwards, and in line with each other. And come back down. If this is too easy, you can bring out your top leg and lift that up and come back down. If you want to challenge yourself even more, you can lift a hand up while you do it and back down and just hold for a few seconds longer. But it's a tough exercise, so the knees are also a good option. We'll just do another 4 here, and then we're nearly done. Another 2. The last one here, and down. We'll just do a bit of a stretch in between. Just bring your knee or your leg over your knee. You push that back and you're looking over your opposite shoulder just to get a bit of a glute stretch. And your opposite one, keep your leg out straight. Your leg over your knee. Look back over the opposite shoulder, and it'll be a nice glute stretch on this side. Perfect. And we'll do the other side of the plank. So again, your body nice and straight, your hips stacked on top of each other, not rotated forward or backwards. Plant your elbow, and you can just lift yourself up for a few seconds. Kind of challenge yourself, see how long you're able to keep it up. Come back down. You can hold it for at least 1 or 2 seconds. And back down. It's too easy. Bring your leg out. And drop your hip back down. Back up again. We do another 4 here. And back down. 3. Another 2. Last one. And back down. We'll just finish off with some glute bridges. You come down onto the mat. You want to flatten your back into the mat. So you don't want your back arch so that there's space to put your hands in between your back and the mat. You want it nice and flattened into it. So you keep this kind of tilt, this back posture, as you're just going to bring your hips up off the mat. Make sure your back is flattened between each rep and push your hips up forward. We just do a few here. We'll get nice and warmed up in this double leg position. And then we'll do another 3, and we'll switch it up to single legs. Last one here, drop down, and this time you're going to lift one of your legs up in the air, and then same thing, keep your back flat against the mat as you push up through your hips and back down. You could also add a weight and put it onto your hip if you had one, but this exercise is hard enough as is anyway. We go for another 4 here. 3, 2, and 1. We'll swap over to the other side. Make sure your back is flat against the mat. Keep that posture as you bring up one leg into a kind of 90 position and bring up the hips and drop back down. If you don't have a weight, you want it to be a little bit harder and working your core as well, you can bring your foot out straight, the one that's hovering over the ground, and push up as well. It's just a bit harder to keep that back flat and a bit harder on your core as well. So it's fine just to have your leg in the 90 position. Or if any of this is too hard, you can drop it back to the double leg glute bridge. You can just go another 3, 2, and last one, and drop down. And that's hard work done. You can bring your knees up to your chest for a bit of a stretch. You can rock side to side here. You can bring your legs down and let them drop side to side. Nice back stretch in there. You can come onto your side and bring your foot to your bum. Get a nice stretch on your thigh. And do your opposite leg. You can sit up. We just do some shoulder rolls. Stretch out our triceps, put your hand behind your back, push your arm back. And do the opposite arm. And we finish off with just some neck circles, making sure you get a good stretch in. And that's it. And so the hard work is done.